All right, so we're going over the master class. We're on the final chapter. We've got a couple, 2 or 3 more sessions left, and we're just talking about Mark Olsen's cube action and undefined positions. And he's offered a position, race, and threat sort of interpretation. And we've seen one over there that is used mostly by developed mostly by David Presser. Art Benjamin uses it a lot too. We'll talk about a little of both. And so we're going through the quiz problems. And so and then we have up here in the screen now is one of the quiz problems. And so how would we go about that? And so maybe, I don't know if we need to go over what his, I guess I'll put on the screen to remind everybody what the system is. He calls it the Olsen point system. So first of all, you have to have threats. That's one. And then you have a significant advantage, and this is to double significant advantage in 2 or 3 offensive game plans, racing, priming, and blitzing. And you can get partial credit if you have, not a significant advantage, but some advantage. And then to accept a cube, you have to have, there's an additional game plan you have, but you have to have an advantage in one of them. And the additional game plan is contact, essentially if you have an anchor. And also you can have partial credit points and things like that. And this is for undefined positions. There are defined positions, things like midpoint holding games, end game. And he also mentions priming is special. So basically, if you have, well, let's take that to the next example, or to the current example. So what do we think of this position? If we look at it, first of all, let's start looking at it from the Olsen method. And so threats, do we have threats?
No.
Yeah, not in the way we normally look at it. We have, I mean, we have the, big doubles, of course. You could say, making the 5' is a threat. But black, typically when we're talking about threats, the opponent is on the bar or is loose, we could point on him or something like that. So threats are a little bit less obvious here, let's say. Okay, so racing. We're up 8 in the race. What's that good for?
That's not huge.
Half a point.
Yeah, half a point. Mark Olsen says if you have if it was a pure race and you have a full a lead that would give you a pass, that's a full point. In the David Presser system, he uses 16 pips as a benchmark. If you have a 16 pip lead, that gives you a full point, and you get partial credit. So here we've got 8, and that would credit Mark also would credit half for that, I think. Actually, David Presser would consider half of that. I think Mark also does half as well. What about priming and blitzing?
Very good.
Priming is good.
Yeah, priming is certainly 1 because we've got a 4', and black, again, it's relative game plans. Black has nothing. We've got the 5 point. And so, and then black already has 2 checkers beyond that anchor. So there's virtually no way that black is going to develop anything related to a significant prime here. So we certainly have a priming, 1 for priming. What about blitzing?
Well, without a checkered egg, can you have a blitzing game?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, well, yeah, and no. Black is anchored on the ace point, which is not great for him, but we're not going to be able to blitz him from that. So it's not a blitzing. There's no, black's not in the bar, and he hasn't split his back checkers. He's got an anchor on the ace point, so we can't really blitz. So what would that tell you?
No blitzing game.
Right, okay, but in terms of, is this a double, no double?
Was holding game one of them? Or not?
Well, I'm sorry, what did you say,
Was
Richard?
holding game one of the factors?
Well, no, holding game is going to fall into a couple categories. One is the midpoint holding game, and that's Mark Olsen doesn't talk about that, but we've talked about that in the past, where if we've escaped their back checkers and black has and your opponent has a high anchor, and we have a landing point. There's a whole criteria for that. So, but it wouldn't be a holding game. I mean, white sort of has a holding game here. Black sort of has, but an ace point holding game isn't considered a holding game. So, but so what do we have? Well, let's kind of threats. Maybe not. Erase half. Yep. Prime 1. Blitz, not really. Race, what do we say? Race half. So we've gotten 1.5 sort of, if you consider enough to count the threats enough. So what is that? Where does that leave us?
No cube.
Yeah. Well, yeah, strictly application, that would be no cube and take. It's actually a double and a big pass. And I would guess that the error for not doubling is because it may be considered too good. And so why is that? And I would say that, well, first of all, Mark Olsen doesn't really develop a system for that. We talked about it. David Presser had sort of a system where you look at the strength of the prime, the number of checkers behind the prime, and whether your checkers are at the edge or not. But Mark Olsen doesn't. Mark Olsen sort of deals with this by saying the prime is special. And essentially, if you have a prime like this, you can't really use his system.
Isn't it really that black's position is so bad? In other words, if you take that black checker on the 24 point, move to the 21 point, I'd be sure it was a take and not know whether it was a double.
Let's look. Still double. Yeah. Close. Well, it is a take. Okay.
Does it change any with that, where it says click for double take? Up by winning chances?
That number doesn't mean anything. The fact that whether it's no double or double take doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I think it's because black is losing the anchor war very badly.
Yeah. Well, that much is clear.
Yeah. I had to say, I didn't. Mark Olsen doesn't talk about this very much. He doesn't give any explanations much as to why this is. Other than to say the prime is special. So I didn't find that particularly helpful. But this is a good point. Kit makes a good point. Is that black is really messed up here. Just moving it and making a point back here goes from a big drop to a take. In the next example, if we move, which we'll go over in a minute, but if we move this up to here, the anchor up. Now, what do you think of that? Is that going to be another pass, or is this a double? Is even a double?
Oh yeah, you might as well double, but it's got to be a take.
Yeah. Well, it's actually a no double. That's close. Let's look at it. Plus. So it's a borderline double, but a big take.
The reason it's no double is because there are almost no market losing sequences except for jokers.
Yeah. Let's bring this up here. This is, just making that position, that makes it a no double. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Kit pointed out something good I didn't realize, that this position for black is really weak. Because black has put a checker on the ace point, which makes it not particularly useful. And that alone makes a difference. The key thing here is so now black is no longer trapped behind a prime because the 6 gets out. So that weakens the strength of the prime. Under the pressure system, that was a key thing too, is are you at the edge of the prime? Here, black, it's not really at the edge, but as a practical matter, black can get out with a 6. So that puts it, in a way at the edge of the prime.
To put those checkers on the 23 point, that's the most interesting.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So now black, isn't at the edge of the prime. In fact, maybe black may be worse off. I would think this is probably a pass too.
Excuse me.
It's a pass, but not as big a pass. I guess because the 2-point holding game is better than the ace-point holding game.
No kidding.
But it's still a pass. Yeah, if you look at it, the gammons are way down. The gammons were over 25%, I think, under the ace, and now they're down to 15. So that's good for black, but it's still a big pass. And the difference is that this is now no longer at the edge of the prime. If you remove the 3-point there at the edge, I would guess this is a huge no double. Yeah, and now Richard, this is a pure holding game, a more pure holding.
Okay.
Where we've got advanced stakers on both sides. This is also a holding game, but again, the 3-point anchor is not. That's the butterfly anchor. Black's gonna try to get out of that as soon as possible, as soon as practical, I guess. And so that's quasi holding game. Whereas deuce point or ace point, it's not a holding game. It's a point. In fact, it's a liability pretty much for black, because it's very hard to escape those checkers. Particularly when you're blocked like this, you're hemmed in. Yeah. So in terms of practical play, I think directly Mark Olsen doesn't offer any way to help you analyze this other than to say it's special and don't use his system. So it's good to know these, some fundamentals to help you out. Black is at the edge. That's better. I didn't look at. Let's look at this one. Now here for the Olsen system, now have a little bit better of a blitzing chance. So we still have a little bit for race. Now certainly good for prime. Now I would say more threats. So I would probably think that this would be a double here, and it's still a pass. Yeah, but now this is part blitz. I'm sorry, part prime, and part the Olsen system you can get this from. Okay. Okay, yeah. So this was the same one that we looked at. This is no double, and again, the difference here is we put this checker back to keep the race pretty much the same as the initial position, but the key difference here is black has moved up. But although it's also here, Mark Olsen didn't talk about the weakness of that position, so Kip pointed that out. But yeah, black is pretty weak with it, that ace point checker on the ace point. Okay, next one. Now, here's one that Mark that I'll warn you doesn't fit into the Mark Olsen system, or he doesn't analyze it that way. This is a different system in which he talked about. I didn't talk about it because we talked about it a little bit before, but does anyone recall what would be the key thing to look at here? What's the key framework, I guess?
Well, if we don't hit black. How do we stand in the race?
The race is basically even.
Yeah, we're actually a little bit behind, but yeah, it's basically even. We're a little bit behind, so
I think loose is risky.
But
Pick and pass or doubles, it'd be fine.
well, okay. What I'm looking at, trying to get out of this is the key, or the best tool we have here is O'Hagan's law. And O'Hagan's law says if you have 9 market losers, then you should double.
Oh, start with it. Is it a take? I'm pretty sure it is, but we should
Well, we
certainly
also have
start with
Woolsey's
that.
law, which
Mhm.
we can talk about that too. Which is good.
Well,
and
I
that's
mean,
because we're doing this.
you do that before using O'Hagan's law. That comes first.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't count market losers when maybe you've already lost your market.
Well, okay. If you lost your market, you still want to double here.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is you don't think in terms of market losers when you've already
I
lost your market. That doesn't mean anything.
All right. So have we lost the market here? Has White lost the market?
I'd say no.
I doubt it.
Yeah. And why not?
Well,
Well, there's certainly some jokers that will lose the market. You're
Right.
making the 5 point. Certainly, so you got double ones and the 3-1 to make the 5 point.
well, White's not gonna hit loose, and if White doesn't hit loose, then it's pretty much of a toss up, and White doesn't have less than half of White's numbers are killers, so Black wins more than 25% of the time. So it's a take. To make it really simple.
Yeah. So what you've got is you got the pick and pass numbers. The pick and pass numbers followed by a dance. Those are the
1, 2,
market besides making
1, 4,
Yeah, you got 1, 2,
3,
1, 1, 3 is
3,
market loser.
2, 3,
1,
4.
4, and well, that's it. 1,
Well,
2, 1, 3, 1,
that's
4.
8.
I'm sorry.
That's 8. Plus double 3
What
and
difference
double
does it
1.
make?
3-2.
Yeah, 3, 2, 3, 3. Well, it's pure market loser. 3,
3,
4.
2, 3, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. That's 12. Well, I don't know. Do you count when you're talking about market losers? Do you count a roll? A 3-1 is 1 or 2?
Oh, 3, 1 is
Two.
pure market loser. That there are 2 rolls.
No, yeah, but I mean,
So yeah, for O'Hagan's law, you got to have 9 rolls.
Yeah.
So
9.
3, 1 is 2.
okay, all right. That was my question.
And probably double 5s, double 6s would put you in there, right?
Yeah. Then double 4s, probably 2.
I doubt it.
You don't think double 4s?
Well, how much? What's the race now?
Down
We're
3.
behind. We're behind by 3 pips. So he roll double 4s, so we're up by 13. He rolls say 8 pips, so we're up by 5, and he's got a smoother position.
Yeah.
I don't think that's anywhere resembling a market loss.
Yeah. Well, okay. If you don't roll well, it goes to 2-1 or 3-2 or something.
Mhm.
But even then, that's borderline. But certainly double 5s and double 6s are
Maybe depends what he rolls.
yeah.
It's
Well,
not that much. I mean, double 6s isn't that much better than double 4s.
well,
It's not. I mean, it's better, obviously.
it's 8 pips better. That's a full roll pretty much.
Mhm.
It's not a full roll in this position. That's what I'm trying to say.
Why do you say it's not a full roll in this position?
Well, look at the position. You can have 6 men on the 2 point.
I see what you mean. So what you're saying is double 6s gives you this.
Right.
So yes, and if you would do any sort of adjustment for distribution, which like the Keith count, you don't get full credit for your
Right.
6s here. You get
That's 5
those for
wastage.
in the wastage, right? in the Keith count system, you got 5 points of wastage.
I mean, look at this way. If you roll double sixes and he rolls double fours, I think you're an underdog or very close to it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how meaningless the pip count is on that sort of situation.
yeah. Okay. So, just, so where does that leave us? We've got some, well, okay, let me make some, so we've got market losers, right? Are double threes, double ones, and 3-1. That's 4 rolls, 4 pure market losers. And then we've got all the pick and pass numbers. 3, 2, 3, 4, I guess. 1, 2, 1, 4. That's 8 of those.
Well, do you still count those as market losers if black comes in?
Right. Well, no, that's the key. Is you don't. Those aren't market losers if black comes in with a 5.
I mean, oh, you can 2/3 of them are market losers.
Yeah. So they're two.
Yeah.
You would count them as 2/3. So you got 3 pure market losers and 2/3 times 8, which is basically 6. So
Okay, Gary,
For-
back to O'Hagan's law, 9, is it 9 or more or 9 or fewer market losers?
well, it's 9. It's generally 9 or more. I would.
Okay.
It's 25% of the exchanges.
25%, yeah, of the exchanges, yes. And so and so some of those exchanges are kind of extreme. So we talked about double sixes and double fives as potential market losers, but if black rolls double aces next time, or 1, 2 or something like that,
Right.
with and white comes in with something, that's you might consider that. So those are hard to factor in, and we generally don't look at it, but that's part of it. So what's the verdict on this?
Oh,
Double take.
looks like clear double take. I mean,
Yeah.
probably not. Probably they're both very clear.
Yeah, it's a double and take. A lot of people, unless they're familiar with this, might get afraid because
Oh, the double. Yeah, well, the double is closer, obviously.
because when we counted them out, we came up with barely 9 market losers. So that was enough to do it. But it's a clear take, and the important thing of the cake is that we had the 9 market losers, but there are a lot of rolls that really weren't.
No, the thing is, black's due to the open 5-point, black is significantly ahead in the race.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So what you mean, because white hasn't filled the 5-point, and so
Yeah.
that's a liability also. If you remember the Keith count, there's a penalty if you have any open 4, 5, or 6 points. So that's a big, in fact, Kid, you're familiar with the Keith count, right? Is that something
No.
you use? Or you not?
I know nothing about it.
Okay. So Keith count gives you count the pips, and then you're penalized for certain things. Penalized for excess, more than 1 checker on the ace point, more than 1 on the deuce point, and any open 4, 5, or 6.
More than 1
And more than
than
3 on the
2.
3-point.
And more than 3 on the 3-point, yeah. Yeah. One thing I've noticed that things like open 5 points, I'm not sure the Keith count gives you a penalty of 1 pip. But I've seen it more. It seems to me that it's probably worth more than that in a lot of situations.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is the cost of the open 5-point varies considerably depending on whether you have men on the ace point. In other words, if you have nobody on the ace point and you roll a 5, that's 6 to 1. Okay, you're filling in the ace. You're not costing yourself anything. But if you've got men on the ace point, now you're putting a 3rd checker there when you roll a 5, and that's really costly. And most people don't realize the difference.
Yeah. So you're saying it's much worse if if your ace point is filled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For that reason, yeah. Because stacking the ace point, you need a whole roll to remove the checker from the ace point, or half a roll, I guess. And so that's You know, that's bad, and you know, that's why the key count penalizes you for more than one checker on the ace point. Okay. Okay, but the key thing here, I think, is, you know, you look, the way you look at this, you don't use the mark system, you say, how many, you know, mark losers do you have for this? And you have enough to double. If you're black, a lot of, you know, beginners, intermediate players say, oh my God, I'm going to get pointed on, or I'm going to hit, and that's the end of that, so I'm going to drop. And that's clearly not right, because there are a lot of rolls that don't hit you. Even if you do get hit, you can come in. The race is practically even. As a practical matter, it's kind of even. And so you've got 50%. If you don't get hit, you got a 50% chance to win. So you know, it's enough for a take. You know, again, you would rather not be black at 67 to 32% here.
To show the difference, take black's 2 men on the 20 point and put one of them in the 19 and one in the 21.
I see. Okay, pip count's the same, but now black has a gap.
Right. I just want to see how much difference it is. Yes.
Yeah, I forgot the number. Well, yeah, it went from black went from 32 or something and a half to 29 and a half, so it's worth like 3%.
Yeah, well, that's pretty big.
Yeah, no, that's a big number. It's still a take though.
Oh yeah,
But
I'm
it's a
not disputing that it's a
yeah.
take.
But you know, it's that 3% is in the, you know, world of backgammon is a fairly large difference. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay. Now, what do we have to say about this one? I forget whether we called this. Well, we can certainly look at this from the Olsen system. But I would say this is probably more I don't know what you call it, a freer. It's not the Olsen system wasn't designed to look at this sort of thing. I would say we look at it the same way as we did the last one. Is you know, is this, you know, can you take this?
Well, I mean, if white misses, it's an even game.
Right.
Maybe black's the favorite.
Well, okay, yeah. So the race is even. So if white misses,
and black has position in the holding game.
now what do you mean by position in the holding game?
As black's got the more advanced point, assuming he gets the checker safe.
If he can safety this checker, he's got midpoint holding game. He's got the advantage.
Right. That's what I mean by position in the holding game.
Right. Yeah. So because white still has to extract these back two checkers, which is not, you know, unless you which is, you know, risky unless you get the good doubles, which, you know, you might get, but you'd rather, you know, you're much easier to extract this one checker than it is to extract those two. So yeah, so let's, you know, evaluate this. So is it a take? Well, yeah, it's a take because it's an even race. If white misses, then, you know, black may even have the advantage.
Yeah, and hitting isn't gin by any means.
Yeah, that's right. Because, you know, what if you get a 4-2? White rolls a 4-2. What does he do? Well, he's got a hit.
Oh yeah, that's not very hard.
Yeah, no, that's right. But okay, you roll the 4-2. Is that a market loser? Well, it is if the it
Depends what
black
that's
dances.
what black roll. I mean,
Yeah.
hit flunk's certainly a sizable market loss.
Yeah. Yeah, we see. Yeah, if you hit here, we go. If we say the 4-2, we're going to hit. That it puts us up 6 and sends black back 7. So, you know, we've gone up from.
I mean,
even
that's 6 out of 36 right there.
Yeah, so, so we've got a significant advantage if we do hit. But if we don't hit, it's pretty much an even game. Again, it depends on what black does, and if black can escape to his back checker to safety, he probably has the advantage here. So how do we look at this? Do we have? We established that it's a take. But is it a double? Do we have enough market losers here?
Sure seems that way.
Yeah, and so what are the market losers?
Any hit flunk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
any hit and pass, and any hit and well, I guess there are 9 rolls for that. Well, but what do you mean by flunk? Yeah, what do you mean by flunk?
Dance.
Or coming in with a 1, 2, or 3 and nothing?
No, flunk. I'm just saying, just hit dance. Don't come in.
Just dance. Okay. Yeah, so there are 9 rolls to dance.
Those are easy.
Double,
And
4,
they
5,
blend it.
6s. Yeah,
And
those are
probably
easy.
some poor entrances.
Yeah.
Or it depends exactly what white hits with. Some of his hits make the bar point. Some of his hits, like a 6-1 gives him great distribution. Or 6-2, let's say. There's a lot of various degrees of how strong white's game gets on the next exchange.
Yeah.
And white can get double 5 with black.
Yeah, they're the big
Right.
big
Double 4.
doubles that do like double double 5s is probably it. I mean, double 6s, I'm sorry, double 6s are pretty good too. You're gonna hit and probably make the 2-point, I'd guess.
Right.
Double 6 is your best roll.
Yeah, it probably is, yeah. Double 5s, but what double 4s?
Any of the doubles, they're
Double
all the
4s.
doubles. All the doubles are good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. 2s are good. 3s are great. You can make the bar point if the
Right.
black. That's probably market loser. Even
Ones
the
are-
ones you can make the bar point and
Right.
come up.
It's
Or
not
fine.
something you have to think about. You got some good rolls, and you're doing fine if you don't roll one of them. So you
Yeah.
double.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You have to justify not doubling, and you can't do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to justify doubling. You have to justify not doubling.
So I think the important thing is to see all the good things that you have. Any of the double, that's a good point. Any of the doubles, so you got 6 rolls that are very good for you, at least. And then any hit followed by a dance is good. So any 6 or the combination of 6s, I think there were 17. I guess some of them are doubles.
Well, plus the ones, you got 7 more ones. So 24 hits. And then the 2
Okay.
big doubles, 5s and 4s,
Yeah.
23.
And the point is you've got enough. You've got enough to double, and you've got enough. Black has enough to take, because first of all, you may not hit, and second of all, if you hit without pointing, you can come back and hit back. And even if you don't do that, white still has to extract those 2 checkers. So it's enough for a take. All right, last one for today. So, this one we can use the Olsen point system.
Something's wrong. Does white have? You don't want white having a checker off, do you?
No. Does white have a checker off? Oh.
Yeah.
Where does it go? Oh, it belongs here. I must have. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I must just click that one. Save it. So first off, do we have threats here?
Oh my God, yes. Well, it's
Well,
not so much. It's not so much your threats. It's the threat of black rolling badly from the bar.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the big. That's the big threat.
Yeah, the threats here, yeah, and that's a key point. Black is on the bar with 2 checkers. Now, with black, anytime the black is on the bar and we have something, we have threats. Then, and the threats are that black will dance or roll badly. And so when you have 2 checkers on the bar, that's even more of a threat because
I mean, well, first of all, is this even a take? I doubt it.
well, let's look to the Olsen point system. So we have threats. Black's 2 in the bar. There's always threats. So that's enough. You get your opponent with 2 checkers in the bar. You really always need to think about doubling because that's enough of a threat in of itself. We look at the rest, the race. Okay, we're up big in the race, so we got 1 for that. Priming. Well, we got nothing for priming. Neither does black. So I would say 0 for priming.
Mhm.
And then the question is on the Olsen system: do we have a blitz? And this is where it gets, I would say, a little bit trickier because we don't have an inner board point.
Yeah, 1 point board and only 9 checkers in the zone.
Yeah, and no, yes, that's a good point. We only have 9 in the zone.
But he's got 2 on the bar.
Yeah, but yes, right. He's got 2 on the bar.
I
So
mean,
that's the point.
almost everything makes a second point. I mean,
Yeah.
you got. I don't even think I've found a roll which doesn't. Let's see. All 3s and 1s. 5-2 makes a point. 5-4 makes a point. 6-4 makes a point. I haven't found a roll yet which doesn't make some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
6-5.
Yeah.
So we've got that. So the question is, is this a double and is this a take?
Maybe it's too good to double.
No.
I know, yeah. So yeah, this is, it's not, we still don't have any inner board points. These
Well,
are,
ask the basic question: is it a take?
well, yeah, so here's would you take?
Always start with that.
Yeah, I would take it.
Well, then it's not too good to double, obviously.
Well, I mean, it's a cash game anyway.
Even if it weren't a cash game, it's not too good to double. In other words, if anybody would take it, it's not too good to double. That's easy.
Okay, so yeah, the question is, certainly we have threats. We can make another point, but making another point isn't necessarily a market loser. It probably is that black still has.
We lost the market. Start with that.
And we lost. Well,
I would not take this personally, but I might be wrong.
all right, well, let's see. Well, let's see. Yeah, it's a take and
Okay.
fairly reasonable take. But it's one of those rare instances where we don't have the inner board point.
Can you give a quick rollout on this? I don't trust XG in this exact type of position.
Okay, so plus is 0.049. It's smaller.
It's still not there.
Like that.
Huh? No, not plus. A real rollout.
Like this one, 1296.
Yeah, well, just get it started. You don't have to roll out the whole thing.
All right. So
while we talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So here I think the point here though is that when you've got 2 checkers on the bar, you've got the huge threats.
Right.
Even though, and so I typically fall into this where I see I don't have any inner board points. I'm not even thinking about doubling, and that's wrong. Because clearly this is a double. In fact, it's a stronger double than the take is even marginal. Kit doesn't think it's even a take.
What is it showing now? So far, I mean,
But
this,
it doesn't update the numbers until
oh, click on the green and you'll get a number.
this screen.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So it's still about 0.047. It hasn't changed much.
I'm sorry. It's oh no, it's changed a
Gone
lot.
down to
It's
870.
a
Yeah.
huge take. Apparently. Oh, I was wrong. All right. That's I'm convinced I was wrong.
Okay. All right, well, as long as we started, we'll keep doing, but,
You just
yeah, I mean, the surprising to me is that, I would, often, I'm not even thinking about doubling here if I don't have an inner board point, just because this is a really rare position, but two on the bar, you've got, so anytime I would say, anytime you have two on the bar, you've got to think about doubling. And those are kind of clues to wake you up.
Especially here,
Yes.
like if you're actually playing, they have 2 on the bar and they just rolled double six. I would almost just automatically double, right? Regardless of the, I mean, not really, but at least, think about it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got, I guess if we didn't have the 5-point slot, maybe you wouldn't consider doubling there, but,
Some people call that a pointless double.
I'm sorry, what was that?
But as Kit said, you're gonna have 2 by the time Brown rolls. You're gonna have at least 2 points, maybe 3.
three's optimistic, but
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but yeah, you'll have another point and then there's like a 50% chance that black will at least dance with one of his checkers.
Right.
And you'll have a chance to bring in make another point and probably maybe put another checker on the bar. So, all right, so this
And
rollout
you're
is
bringing
going,
checkers into the zone probably by doing that.
yeah, you can interrupt the rollout. We've seen enough to
Okay.
see.
okay. All right,
Just,
so let's,
just click interrupt rollout.
there it is. Yeah. Okay, so we don't need to do that. I don't know what numbers these came up with, but
Yes,
are these the numbers where we stopped the rollout?
it's
Yeah,
stop.
okay, we did
Yeah, yeah,
600, okay, so we did 650 games. Okay,
yeah,
and it kinda-
it's a huge take. I was way wrong.
Okay, so that is it. We've got, I think, 2 more sessions on this, more quiz problems to go over, and we will finish master class.
So all we saw from today is everything's a double a take. What else is new? Right, Karen?
Good examples, Gary. Thanks.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you, although